Hi there, and welcome back to our final workshop in the Mindset series. And we're going to continue talking about the benefits of growth mindset. In the previous workshop, I had asked you to start developing an awareness of what situations might have triggered a fixed mindset mentality for you last spring, so that you can start to move forward to address these situations in a way that's more productive for you. Oftentimes we think that successful people got to where they are because they constantly achieve their goals, almost in this linear fashion, right? So they achieve a goal, they set a goal, they achieve it, they move on to the next goal, they achieve that one, set a bigger goal, as though it's this kind of easy process. And it's really very rarely, if ever, the case. And there are, multiple examples that we could use here. Rudy, kind of a classic inspirational sport movie about someone who didn't have a whole lot of talent or resources, but refused to give up and ends up eventually achieving his dream of getting on the Notre Dame football roster. But if you've ever seen this movie, went through a whole lot of failure along the way throughout that process. Tom Landry is considered to be one of the most successful NFL coaches, did not win a single game in his first season. We could look at this certainly beyond sport examples and looking at other performance domains, political leaders, business professionals, scientists. Thomas Edison is a great example, someone who made thousands of attempts before being able to figure out the light bulb. Mark Cuban, a well-known entrepreneur, billionaire, right, and is very candid about his many experiences with failure on this path to him eventually being able to achieve a huge amount of success. And I think what's also important to point out is that most people that we would consider to be exceptional in what they do have actually stated that they could not have been successful without having these setbacks. And so considering it as to be a really important part of their journey to achieving success. And this is a quote from our current U.S. Olympic volleyball coach, Coach Karai. He says, "I don't choose the players who handle success most easily. I choose the players who respond best after failure." And just really kind of driving home this point of how important it is that failure is actually necessary to being successful. In revisiting the growth mindset and how it differs from the fixed mindset, so some very big differences here in terms of how you approach failure and obstacles. So looking at failure as something that is a necessary part of the process, something that you can learn from. Viewing obstacles as things that can be surmountable, right? Kind of looking at them as this may be something that you can't do right now, but it is just something that you can't do yet. And I find myself constantly telling this to my kids as they're in the process of learning a whole bunch of things for the first time. So my oldest child is learning how to ride a bike right now. And she is correct when she says, "I just can't do this," right? She's definitely struggling with it. And it's true, she can't do it right now. And I'm constantly just feeding her kind of some of this feedback, right? That yes, you can't do it now, but you just can't do it yet. Right? And then I try and get her to think about some of the things that at one point she couldn't do, but was eventually able to learn. But you certainly don't have to be a kid in order to view obstacles in this way. Effort becomes a very important part of the growth mindset. And not that it's the only thing that you need to be successful, but really trying to put more of a focus on that process, relying on it to help make you better, as well as looking at feedback that you're getting from the people around you, that looking at it, that it has the purpose of making you better. Not perfect necessarily, we don't need to go down that route, right? But if you found that when you were exploring your tendency to use the fixed mindset, if you found that you tend to compare yourself to other people and let that be something that really drags you down, trying to challenge yourself to see, well, what is it that you can learn from your peers? And really trying to be inspired by them as opposed to viewing them as a threat. And so for this final reflection activity, I'd like you to consider a couple questions. This first one is to think about if there is a mistake that you have made recently that you felt taught you something. And this could be something specific from the spring semester. It could be even more recent than that, right, in the summer, just even thinking about the last year or so. And this is a quote from a former Ironman champion, Michaeli Jones. She said, "In each Ironman I've done, I've learned so much. In my first Ironman, I took in too many calories and I got that pregnant stomach look, but it was great. I learned a lot about what I really need out there. Not long after that, I raced a half Ironman in which I bonked bad, and it was great. If you don't mess things up, you don't learn what you need to learn." And it's this important point that it isn't mistakes necessarily that hold you back from potential. Right? It's another really common misconception. What holds you back from your potential is the fear of making mistakes. And then the second question here is thinking about whether there are any skills or areas in which you once had low ability, but that now you feel you perform well. You can think about this in any context. Ideally, I'd like you to consider your role as a student, but really any activity that you engage in. And I would imagine you'd be able to actually point to several different areas in which you once would consider yourself to not be very skilled, right? But now you perform well. And then this quote here I thought was very relevant considering the current situation we're in. But never let a good crisis go to waste. And I think we can certainly consider this pandemic to be a crisis. And so looking at, okay, we can't really control the fact that this thing is here, but is there something that we can get out of this? And in thinking about when I was reflecting on the spring semester, I am someone that tends to thrive on structure and organization and routine. And if any of you have had me in class before, this will not surprise you, but I am not so good at adaptability. And this was something I was really forced to use last spring, was this need to exercise flexibility. I constantly had to make adjustments as I was learning how much time activities took in a remote format. And both the students and myself, we all had some unique challenges that we hadn't faced before. And so I really felt that I had to practice being adaptable. I didn't necessarily enjoy it while it was happening, but it was good for me to see that I could do it when needed. And I still wouldn't consider it a strength, but this crisis offered me an opportunity to learn this new valuable skill, and I'm sure I will have to continue developing it as we head into the fall. And I'll just end this workshop with a quote that I like. "Your true potential lies way, way down in the depths of your soul, in the pit of your stomach, past your knowledge, beyond your nervousness, and buried under your fears and anxieties. As hidden as it may be, it is still there. I know it's there because I felt it before, and I know it's there in others too because I've seen others perform miracles. There's a faint glow of unparalleled potential in all of us, and when we find it, it shines." One of my favorite things about being an educator is that I get to see students uncover their potential in their journey throughout college. And I strongly believe that this can be done in a remote format, just as it can be done in a traditional in-person class setting. And in considering this precarious balance of demands and resources when we're looking at trying to manage our stress, please don't hesitate to reach out to me or the multitude of resources that we have on campus, but also to see yourself as a valuable resource as we head into the next academic year. Thank you for joining me in this workshop series. Best of luck as we head into the fall, and I hope to see you all one way or another, whether that is over the computer screen or eventually in person. Take care.